So, welcome to Black Hippie Lounge. I'm your host, Chanel, and today we have a guest, Darnell, and we're going to talk about this topic that he came up with, which is kindred spirit, hunting for love versus divine timing. So, just a couple of housekeeping things before we start the interview. I did episode last week, but this makes 2 years now of the podcast. So I'm glad that I've been able to do it this long and that I've been able to have more guests, and definitely, like I said, I want to have more guests on. So I'm very, very happy that Darnell wanted to be featured, and more than likely we will do more episodes together too. So but this is his first one, so welcome, Darnell.
Hey, what's up?
So we're gonna start off with a couple of questions. So how did you hear about the podcast and what made you want to be a guest?
Well, hi Chanel, thank you for inviting me. I have to say that again. I heard about your podcast, obviously through you.
Yeah.
Where we met, mutually, because of, my husband, Matthew.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just started listening to your podcast and I was just like, wow, like I'm really on Chanel's level. Like I understand that, level of complicity of just, being free-spirited in life and just trying to understand life, trying to navigate between how society is and trying to make sure that not only one, within yourself, you're happy, but two, to make sure how to just figure life out completely, So that's how I came upon your podcast, and just to be your guest is just an honor. I greatly appreciate that, and I can't wait to have a great topic with you.
Thank you.
Conversation.
I'm very glad that you wanted to be on the podcast too. So thank you for, taking your time to be a part of it. So can you tell listeners a little bit about yourself? Like where you're from, what do you do? Like just a little bit.
Yeah, so born and raised in Providence, Rhode Island, but now in Cranston, Rhode Island. Let's see. I am Black and Native American. I am federally recognized by the Narragansett Indian Tribe. I have a bachelor's degree, double major, film media and communication studies. Went to University of Rhode Island. Proud, Rams. Other than that, like, I just take life day by day. I am a free spirit. I believe in just, being kind to others and just trying to live life the best way possible.
Nice. You just celebrated a birthday.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Getting old.
Getting wiser.
Yeah. Wiser. But feeling it in the bones, though.
Right. No, I feel you. Okay, so thank you. All right, so let's get into the topic. So the question that we're going to start off with is, like what you said, hunting versus divine timing and love. And I want to know, what does each of those things mean to you?
Honestly, hunting versus divine timing. I know we always have those friends, those loved ones, that always say, I have to have someone special in my life. And why is it hard to find someone, but yet it's like you don't want to go hunting, but you, in a way, do have to do that. So it's kind of like a tug of war kind of thing that everyone has to go through in life. So, I just feel like there is some kind of balance between those two, but at the same time, I feel like as a whole, everybody thinks that it's either one or the other. and that's definitely not true. Yeah,
that's a good point. So I mean, I'm gonna ask mad questions because like I'm kind of in that space right now where I'm not necessarily hunting for love, but I'm definitely open to it and like ready for it. So for someone in my position, like maybe not necessarily hunting, and like you said, having that balance, which is, I think it's very smart. But I guess I feel like a lot of times on social media, which plays a big role, I think, right now in dating, is like there's always this idea of like, oh, you have to be whole before you meet someone. But do you agree with that, or do you feel like it's better to be like just on your journey and then you meet someone, you guys grow together?
Now, just to touch base on that, like you say, to be whole as in how? Like getting your life together when it comes to career, vice versa, or is it trying to be whole as in like trying to figure yourself out?
I feel like maybe a little of both. I definitely think that sometimes it's definitely pushed on like the career thing, like making sure you have your own and you're independent before being able to be with someone, but that's not always the case, right? And I guess whole is like, I know now this whole social media thing of like being healed, right? A lot of people are saying you need to come healed, but I don't think that you're ever going to be fully healed. And you know what I mean? Like there's always going to be something to heal from. So I don't necessarily think that you should be focused on this idea of like being whole. Because like you said, like if like people like us, we're free spirited, we're always growing, so we're never going to be the same person, so it's always going to be something to heal from and like to learn from.
Right. And I totally agree with you with that, because it's like it goes with that saying that, you know, that comes from either your parents or maybe somebody who's just an influence to you. It's always said, you're always going to keep learning until you die.
Right.
So it's like there is no right or wrong way to life. It's just you got to just deal with it.
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, what is your advice to somebody who feels like it's hard to find a partner and it's just not working? Like they're putting themselves out there, they're on dating apps, they're dating, but it's just not going as they wanted to.
Let me just start with this. I just feel like people put a lot of pressure on themselves instead of just relaxing about it. And what I mean by that is pressure of, because you see your friends with somebody, or they're getting married, or they're having kids, you feel that amount of pressure where it's like, wow, I need to find somebody, but I don't like how I have to find that someone in my life. So it's kind of like you have to determine, all right, not to listen to or to see what other people are doing and just focus on yourself, as in, you know, you got to put yourself out there. You have to actually get to meet people. And it doesn't have to be serious of like, yeah, I'm meeting you because I'm looking for true love. No. Nobody's saying to do all that. It's just, you just have to go out, meet people, be friends, you know, casual, hang out or whatever. And then you never know, you could have that loved one that you are looking for right in front of your face.
Mm-hmm. True.
So it's just a matter of, for you, the individual, you have to open yourself up to be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And when you become vulnerable, that's how you let the others know that they can become vulnerable as well. And when you have that combination together, then it's going to work out when you start to learn about each other. And then it can turn into love. And that could be the person you've been looking for your whole entire life. Mm-hmm. No. So it's all work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So what's a kindred spirit?
A kindred spirit. So a kindred spirit is more of that person that you just have that gut feeling about that person. Like something is drawing you to that person where it's like, you know, I actually can open more up to you than I can do to an average person on a day-to-day basis. So I did look up an actual definition. Okay. Now this is actually from a website called mindbodygreen.com. And their definition of kindred spirits is a kindred spirit is are like-minded and like-souled people with whom they are instant connection of love, understanding, is mutually experienced. And they have 7 kinds of ways that you can actually find your kindred spirit. And the 7 ways that they have is, so number 1, you feel at peace around them. You know, number 2, you have an unusual amount in common. Number 3, you learn about yourself through them. Number 4, you tend to see things the same way. 5, you can sometimes tell what they're thinking or feeling. 6, you feel you know them right away. And number 7, they're a great support system. And just from that is mostly important as well. It's like you have to have somebody that is gonna be your number 1 fan. They're always right there no matter what. They're giving you that positive energy in order to succeed in life at anything. Even if it's just giving a positive energy just to get up out of bed, to be happy, because you know times are tough nowadays. So that to me is a kindred spirit.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it definitely fits like the description of someone that, like you said, it's like a kindred spirit, someone who is meant for you, you know. And I definitely agree that, you know, having that support is number 1. We need it. We all do. You know, we all go through times where we just need someone there for us. So I definitely agree with that. So what's the right way to find your kindred spirit?
The right way to find your kindred spirit. It goes back to what I said earlier, you know, in this podcast, which is you have to get out there. You have to meet people. Even if it's, I know people, you know, put hate on it, you know, but social media.
Yeah.
Use your social media. I know there are negative traits to it, but you can turn that negative trait into a positive trait. You know, like, you know, not to mess with anybody who is just faking on their social media just to get likes or whatnot. It's all about finding somebody who is real, who is more open book, and just trying to just learn about a person. It doesn't have to be on a, you know, kind of like a relational, you know, trying to gear towards making some kind of relationship or trying to get married or whatever, you know what I mean? It's just about trying to learn about just a person and just trying to be friendly, because you never know, you could find somebody out there that will understand the same thing that you did, because there's plenty of people out there. It's just, you got to be willing to be vulnerable.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And I feel like that's something that people struggle with, is like vulnerability.
Yeah.
Which is hard, especially when, you know, if you are at a place where you're ready to be vulnerable and you keep coming across people who aren't, it becomes like a little bit of a battle. So, yeah, I definitely understand that. So do you believe that you find your soulmate by looking for them, or focusing on yourself and then the universe makes that connection happen?
For me, it's definitely always looking. I'm always looking. I know for me back then, before I found my soulmate and got married, I was like, I had that one relationship when that relationship failed, I just put myself back out there.
Mm-hmm.
I always kept putting myself out there, just to meet people, just to see where it goes. And if I feel like this person is genuine, this person aligns with how I am in life, I'm going to go for it. I'm not going to second guess it. I'm just going to see where it goes. If it doesn't, there's always more people out there, because there's always someone out there for you.
And I feel like sometimes, like, with dating, especially, like, I know I have, like, friends who are single too, and it's always like we kind of get wrapped up in this, we don't want to waste time, or this person needs to, like, come out the gate knowing exactly where it's going and stuff. And I feel like, to an extent, I guess that could be useful, but also is that like unrealistic too, right? Because, like you said, you have to get to know people too before you just say, this is the person that I want to be with, So, I think that, what do you think about that? Like, is it hard to have that balance of, like, finding someone who you can kind of go with the flow with, but also still making sure you stay on a path, or, like, a timeline, I guess, of
you can always have your path, that path that is time. It's just a simple fact of anything that you plan is not always going to follow the way that you plan, because that's not life. If it was that of life, then life would be boring for all of us, So you can keep your path, your dreams, your goals in life, but at the same time, also do things that are spontaneous. Be spontaneous and just in the moment to meet somebody. You never know, you know what I mean? Like, that person could maybe be, your love. It could be a business partner, or, somebody who may have information that you is looking for. You know what I mean? So in a way, that's also connecting to God. You know what I mean? It's connecting to hearing the signs from him or her, and trying to figure out what are you supposed to do in your life. Like, what is the path that you're supposed to take when you feel stuck? So it's just all a matter of, using, our common sense, using, the signs that we think are signs, and just living in the moment. That's the best thing to really say about that, and to trying to find somebody and to keep whatever you have planned in life.
Find that balance.
Yes.
So you mentioned the idea that everyone says, when I'm looking for someone to date, I end up finding bad men. Is it wrong to keep looking, and is there a balance when doing this? Like, you just have that history of, like, okay, all these, because you hear it, and I think we talked about this when we were having dinner. Like, the girls were saying the same thing, like, all the guys are, bad. And it's like, for me personally, I try not to have that mentality, because, I don't want a bad guy, so, like, you can't, you can't kind of give up and be like, all the guys are bad. It's just, you haven't found what you're looking for. So.
Right. I feel like as human beings, we tend to gravitate to, I find all bad men. In a way, I want to say it's true, but it's not necessarily true, because if you think about it, everyone starts out good. Everyone is a good person inside and out. And, when it comes to life, you don't know what a person could be going through, or whatever kind of trauma they incorporated throughout life when it comes to, especially dating. They could be stuck in their ways where they feel like, well, if this happened to me so many times, now I have to act a certain way in order to stop that pain of of hurt coming to me all the time. So it's like, that's why I had my cousin say to me one day, and this was when it was like X number 6 happened, and I wanted to basically give up. And she told me to, Darnell, when you go and look for someone, make sure that you start clean. Whatever bad that has happened to you from that person, the last person, don't take that with you. Don't hold that grudge towards the next person you see. Even if you sense some kind of similarities from what the other person was, because you never know. If you, so like, what I mean by that is, say if an ex did something that you didn't like and it ticked you off, you're not going to go into the new relationship, see that similarity, and then go, this person's acting just like my ex, so I'm gonna act accordingly to that. But no, you don't want to do that. You want to do the total opposite. You want to make sure that, okay, let me think about this first. What they're doing, are they not personally, but are they intentionally doing that? Or just that I'm in my head thinking that it's intentional, when I could just speak up and say, hey, so on and so forth that I'm dating now, please don't do this because I don't like this, and then share your experience. Because when you do that, then it's solved. You understand the person a little more and why they act that way, or it could have been just a total mistake. So I guess what I'm getting to is just, you have to be very open-minded all the way. Even if you've been kicked down so hard in life, you still have to be that positive person and open-minded towards whoever may come in your life, because you never know what that other person could be going through as well. Because it's gonna continue to be a trend where it keeps going on, where one person does something bad, so now they're gonna act bad towards whoever comes in their life. Now we're an innocent person, we're trying to be positive, but then all of a sudden it's like, boom, it was being mean to me, so now I'm gonna be mean. And then it becomes a domino effect. And that's why I feel like it's so hard for everyone to find their special someone. You know what I mean?
I agree.
I
agree.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, if people were all, I know it's not going to happen that way, but it'll be great if it did. But if people were just all open-minded and just started fresh every time when they met somebody new, I think this will be a better world. Honestly.
Yeah, and to touch on that, I also think, because I know I experienced it myself, and I had to like do some digging too. Is like, I think that sometimes with dating, when we get hurt, we don't want to admit that we got hurt. So, you know,
exactly,
when you are hurt and then you're just holding on to that, and then you're going on with the next person, and I feel like when you're with the next person, and after a while, like those emotions start coming up, and then it's like either you can deal with it or you can run from it. So I feel like that's a trend too, where people just try to run from whatever, you know, happened to them, versus just like taking the time to like feel your feelings and let it, you know, we're all, like you said, everybody gets hurt, everybody goes through something, so it doesn't make you less than or anything like that. It's just like, you got to learn from it, and then, like you said, kind of start fresh too. I think that people just they're not able to start fresh. They hold on to something, or as soon as they see a red flag or something similar, it's like, oh, never mind, you know, like you shut down.
Right.
Because I've done that too. Like I can admit, I definitely have done that, and I'm like, oh, I've seen what I need to see. We're done here. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
and to add to that, it's like, not trying to say it's easier said than done, right? I know I can even admit to myself, like we all fall into that trap of, oh man, I feel it coming. Oh, no, I'm good. I'm going to just cut you off. But at the same time, it's like, we have to try to fight through it and say, hey, okay, let me step back for a minute. I want to say the easiest thing, but at the same time, I think I need to work more towards it and say, okay, let me really see if this is really happening the way I think it's happening. Because I don't know if you believe in this, but I believe that I feel like our minds are, yes, they're good because we're always thinking, brain power, but it's also bad for all of us because we always drum up something all the time. It doesn't matter. It could just be, getting up just to go outside, but you're thinking so negatively and saying, I'm not going outside. I live in New England. It's cold.
Right.
When we can just throw on a coat and just go on our way, Yeah. So it's like, I always say to myself, I try my best to say to myself, don't let your mind get the better of you. Mm-hmm. You have to try to fight your mind because your mind's always going to think something negative because that's the easiest thing to do instead of trying to think positive. Mm-hmm.
No, it makes sense.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
No, I definitely agree. It was funny because I'm glad that we're doing this episode today because today, I was texting my mom because I was feeling like that. I was feeling like maybe not fight or flight, but I was definitely I feel like I'm not sure about these decisions that I'm making in my life. And I'm like, should I just completely cut everybody off or should I try to think it through? And my mom was basically saying you got to live in the now and just enjoy it for what it is too. And not be so quick to try to, determine things. Because I know for me, I think that's my anxiety. Okay, before I get hurt, let me figure out what this is so I can protect myself. But could be, like you said, you could be missing out on something or a lesson that God still really wants you to learn, from that experience with that person. So
yes.
Yeah, I think that's courageous too to just stick it through and you never know what's gonna happen. Like you said, it could go right or it could go quote unquote wrong. But I think that also everything happens for a reason. We meet people for a reason. So, just to try to live in the moment and enjoy it for what it is too.
Right, exactly. When you mention that fight or flight, man, that's an episode right there.
Yes, exactly. Because I know for me, one little thing I'm let me bring it back. I'm not communicating anymore. You got it. I'm not about to, I'm not gonna put any more effort, But I also think that when we do that, I noticed for me that I wasn't being my authentic self because I am a naturally nurturing person. I like to, communicate and just, be in tune with that person. And it's if I feel like I have to hold back or do restrictions or do it in a certain way to try to avoid getting hurt, then it's not being genuine. And then I'm not really experiencing it. And then I'm getting anxious. And then it's just, like you said, I'm getting in my head and ruining the experience that I don't really need to do. So I think, like you said, our minds definitely can, get in the way of it. So yes. You have to check in with yourself. And like you said, am I taking this the wrong way, or did this person really mean it that way, or did I just interpret it that way because of past trauma, Right,
exactly. The mind's dangerous, man. I'm telling you, for everything. You could be in a bar somewhere, somebody look at you and you're like, did this homie look at me that way? And then you just go off
right, and they're not even looking at you like that. They just might be zoning out or something like that.
Right, exactly. Man.
Crazy. And it's crazy because it's I was seeing today on social media how, I don't know if you've noticed a couple of marriages that were broken up, and then how they a month they were out and they just came back. I think it was Miguel and then Lisa Bonet, and I'm just man, that shows you right there the dating pool is not something to play with right now.
Right, exactly. Especially like with, the pandemic that happened.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of failed marriages. People were like, no, I can't stand it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, just it got the best of them. And that's why you have to fight all the time. You have to choose fight all the time, because if you don't, then you're just giving up on what you actually want in life. Because let's be real, relationships are not supposed to be easy. And people tend to forget that. They think that, when it comes to relationships, I don't want to deal with it. But it's like, you do know a relationship's also in a friendship as well too. It's like, it's that ship at the end. It's all the same,
right.
So it's like, I know friendships are easier, but they tend to be easier because people take friendship lightly, as if, oh yeah, I'm your friend, but I'll see you when I'll see you. When a friendship also could be, hey, like, whenever I need you, I'll be there. Same. It's just the same thing when it comes to actual relationship. When it comes to love, it's being there for somebody. So yeah.
Do you think it's important to, when you're dating? Because I know a lot of time my mom will like tell me like, just like you said, take it easy, take it light, just get to know people and treat it more as a friendship. And, friendship, I think that's definitely important, because you should be friends with the person too. But what's the advice for someone who, say you have met someone, you guys are really good friends, and like, but at the same time, that you want a relationship, how long do you let it go with this friendship part before you're like, I don't know if I would say fight or flight, but before you're like, should I stay with this or not? How do you know if something's worth it or not?
So this one's tricky, because I feel like everybody, when it comes down to it, everybody always focuses on the word time. And technically, there's no such thing as time, right? Because time is never promised for us. Right. We could be gone tomorrow. We could be gone in a minute, maybe in a second. We don't know. So it's like, why focus so much on the time of how I spend with a person instead of just focusing on knowing the person, just period. Like, if you like, that's why, like, when people say like a great example, when people watch Married at First Sight, that's a very controversial show. Right. So it's like, why am I marrying this stranger? But it's like, it's kind of the same way. You're still learning about somebody, regardless. So that's what should really matter, is just learning about the person. If you feel deep down inside that you want to be with this person and they feel the same way, why not? Make it a relationship. Hell, get married within 6 months, a year, maybe on the first sight, like the show. But it's like, it's all about having that partnership, having that connection with that other person, and then continuing it, because there's people who've been together and they're like high school sweethearts, and it don't last.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then you start kicking yourself in the derriere. I don't know if we can swear on this show, but in the derriere. You start kicking yourself and you're just like, man, I wasted all this time. And it's like, okay, let's think about that. If you're gonna say and question yourself, why am I wasting my time? So then don't waste your time. Just do what you have to do. You know what I mean? Like, if you see somebody, you feel like that's the person you with, you want to be with that person, then be with that person. If you feel like it ain't working, then it's not working. And then just keep on moving. That's just the circle of life. You know what I mean? So I just feel like it's a very tough thing when it comes to time. You gotta eliminate that. But obviously people are gonna and I also people are gonna still do it.
Yeah, I think it's a comforting thing too, because like I said, for me personally, I used to be like that too. Like my last two relationships, I used to be like, oh, I wasted my time. I wasted those years. But it's like, then I think for me, once I started going to therapy and really like evaluating things, it's like, well, it wasn't really a waste of time because at the time it was what you wanted. So it's just, you know what, you had, like you said, you had to go through it, you got your lesson, and you move on with life, you know? So I think that, like you said, time, people should not focus so much on the time, but just focus on the lesson that you're getting from it, or the experience itself, and just, you know, like I said, live in the moment. Because I feel like you said, time can really get the best of you too. Because I think that sometimes when it comes to dating, people who focus so much on time, then they're trying to rush it, and it's like, oh, well, you know, my timeline is 2 years, and if it's not where it's supposed to be, then forget it, you know? And then it's just like, you could just have messed up something that maybe just needed a little bit more time. So
right. Exactly.
Right.
Because honestly, like, I came out of a 4.5 year bad relationship. Mm-hmm. Yes, in a way, I'm kind of wrong for saying it's a whole bad relationship, because obviously if I was with the person for X amount of time, there was some good to that relationship. But the reason why I label it bad is because I truly loved the person, mm-hmm. but the person decided to make it seem as if none of it didn't matter. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is, it started with, hey, let's go out to eat. Hey, before your food sits right down in front of you, I'm going to tell you, I want to break up with you. I have everything planned when I move out. I know where I'm going to go. I know what my career is going to be. Then I'm moving out, like, out of state or whatnot. And it's like, why are you giving me all this list? Because now you just told me you planned this and you had no desire to be with me. So, right. Which then makes it a bad relationship, mm-hmm. you know? So it's like, if you knew you didn't like the relationship, or you didn't feel the same way that I have, why continue on for so long? Right. And then lay it down so hard that you want to try to destroy the person, as if like it's some kind of vindictive little plan. Like, it's not necessary. And that's why people have trauma, and that's why people end up doing the things that they do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I didn't want to get too deep into that, but it was good to share that example. But coming from that relationship, I was so done that I was saying to all my friends that, you know, I'm done. I don't want to look for nobody no more. I'm good. I'll just keep it moving. Mm-hmm. And how the way I said it scared so many people that they were actually mad with me and kept pushing me to go forward and to just meet people and have a good time or whatnot. I didn't want to do none of that. I just wanted to crawl up in a ball and just, like, that anxiety. Yeah. I had a panic attack from it. That was the first time I ever had that, and that was scary. Mm. So it's like, I didn't know what to do with life. I thought life was just completely done for me. Mm-hmm. Because I put so much energy into that relationship. But because thankful for the friends, I was like, you know what? I have to just come to terms with it. Also went to therapy as well, and just said, I have to just let it go, live my life, and just be happy, just live in the moment. So for a whole year, I was out. I was, excuse me, my dog. He angry too. But yeah, I just had to live life and just go. He really angry, very angry. But yeah, I had to live life and just go and just live in the moment. Just like be happy. I met honestly, this was the first time I actually was like dating people, dating, like just going on random dates. And it was fun too. Like there was some people that were weird. Let's get that out the way first. They were weird and strange. Where it's like, psycho. But also there was some fun times as well. And like exploring different places that I never explored before. Meeting different people. Like it was a great experience that I was so relaxed and so like happy and giddy and everything that I ran into a person that I was like, hey, you, let's go on a date. You, me, let's go. Let's have fun. Just forcing it. Didn't even know that that was my soulmate. That was my kindred spirit. And then when we started talking and started like hanging out and stuff, like I kid you not, it was like for a good month or so, every day, 7 days a week, we were on the phone for like 5 hours straight. Never experienced that in my life, but it was awesome. And never thought that that would be the person that I would end up with today. You know? So life has its surprises.
Right.
And it's like you have to embody that. You have to just let loose, go out, have fun, but also protect yourself a little bit too. But just have fun, and you never know who you will meet. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
It works. So just gotta do it.
Right.
You know?
Right. No, I mean, I feel like I understand where you're coming from too, because I definitely have those times where I'm like, man, I don't even feel like putting in the energy for doing this, you know, especially sometimes when you're on those apps and it's like the selection is not that great.
No, it's not. You'd be like, what kind of weirdos are on this thing?
Come on.
Like, are they even real? If you're real, you need to go hide somewhere or something.
Right. But I also like what you said a few minutes ago, where you said, like, you know what, if it's really what you want, then you still have to keep going, still doing, you know, putting in the effort for it and putting in the work for it. So I think that's definitely something that I try to do too. Keep in mind, just keep it pushing until, you know, you meet that person. So what's come like wrap up, last thing, or some advice that you would give, you know, on this topic to someone who's feeling like, all right, well, maybe they've heard this episode and they're still feeling like, okay, but what if they feel like they're too old, or like they're not sure, like they still want to get married, have kids, but they're feeling like, all right, I don't see how that's going to be. Like what's advice that you would give to them?
The advice I would say is just never give up. Keep going. Just keep going. Never think about what society says this has to be this way or that way, especially like when it comes to kids, especially for, you know, females. Like, hey, like I have to have a kid before this age because my clock is ticking. It's like there's other ways to have children. There's so many options out there, like with technology nowadays that we have as a country. It's something like, yes, it's something to be serious about, but also it's all about just living in the moment, just taking it a day at a time. Honestly, you just have to just keep on trying. Don't take no for an answer. You know, like there's always so many ways to have children. You can adopt children, because there's so many children who are born into this world, but the parents don't care.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, there's so many ways to have children. There's so many ways to find true love. Age is nothing but a number. Like Aaliyah said. Right. Age ain't nothing but a number. So it's like, it doesn't matter if you're 80 years old and you found yourself a 21-year-old. Just don't do it underage now. That's wrong. That's still wrong.
Right.
But other than that, it's like 21 and up. Go for it, like live your life. Like love comes in all different shapes, sizes, ages, of the age limits. Right. And so on and so forth. Like, you know what I mean? So honestly, it's you just gotta push forward. Because that's what life is about. Just keep on moving.
Not to stay stagnant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Most definitely.
Thank you. I like that. So thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely appreciate your words of wisdom. I feel like I know I appreciated this episode and learned a lot about it. And so I feel like a lot of people will learn too from this episode. So yeah, definitely thank you for coming on, and we'll definitely do another episode together for sure. I know we have some ideas that we want to do. So yeah. Any last words you want to say before?
Thank you for having me, and hey, I'll be back because this was fun.
Yeah,
let me tell you.
Yeah, I had fun too. Thank you.
Because I feel like we were talking for hours here.
I know. When I'm gonna stop is I'm interested to see how long the recording was. I feel like it was definitely like an hour, maybe.
Woo, if it was, I'm sorry, y'all.
Nah.
In advance. If we mess with your ears a little bit,
right.
It's okay.
No, but, I feel like we definitely dropped some gems, so it's gonna be it's a good episode.
Yes.
So thank you for listening to Black Hippie Lounge. My name is Chanel, and thank you for Darnell for being a guest. Definitely appreciate your words of wisdom, and I hope that listeners enjoyed. And he'll be back for more.
Peace, y'all.
Meditate, manifest, invest in you. Join me on my spiritual journey as I elevate myself and like-minded listeners to a higher level, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for listening. This is Black Hippie Lounge, and I am your host, Chanel.